Hello and welcome back to the Gallant Goblin. I'm Theo, and today we're going to look at a case of Pathfinder Battles Kingmaker miniatures. These are also pre-painted miniatures like the Icons of the Realm set for Dungeons & Dragons, but of course this is Pathfinder. Now I admittedly have not much experience with Pathfinder, but I'm going to do my best to give you an overview of each mini and how you might use it in your game. But for you Dungeons & Dragons players, I'm going to try to give you some ideas on how you can use these minis in your game as well, because these look like they could be pretty interesting and maybe will spark some creative storytelling ideas for you. So let's get them open and see what we have.
Fairy dragons, which share much in common between Pathfinder and D&D, are small, colorful pranksters who are generally well-meaning, though they can certainly be irritating to the victims of their tricks. Instead of growing in size as they age, their color moves from red to violet and through the rainbow spectrum. Certain spellcasters can select them as familiars. A named NPC fairy dragon named Perlevash shows up in the Kingmaker Adventure Part 1. In D&D, young fairy dragons have a challenge rating of 1. In Pathfinder, they have a challenge rating of 2. A Spriggan, inspired by Cornish folklore, resembles an ugly, stocky gnome with a bulbous nose and reddish eyes. Is usually covered in dirt and filth. Its ancestors were regular gnomes who were so scared of the material plane that they became twisted into creatures concerned only with survival, unable to feel joy. Spriggans can alter their size at will between small and large. The small Spriggan has spell-like abilities and can sneak attack. It has a Pathfinder challenge rating of 3. You could use this mini in D&D as a Svirfneblin, also known as a deep gnome. This is the enlarged version of the Spriggan. The enlarged variety lose their spellcasting and sneak attack abilities, but gain greater strength and constitution. The large-sized Spriggan has the same challenge rating, a 3. Spriggans have a history in D&D as warped gnome slaves, but they have yet to make an appearance in 5th edition. This mini could also be used as an ogre, a young Fomorian, or other giant-related creature. Bat swarms live in caves, ruins, and sewers. In Pathfinder, they inflict bleeding, which causes damage over time. They only organize into swarms outside at dawn or dusk. They have a Pathfinder challenge rating of 2. In D&D, they have a challenge rating of 1/4. Swarms in D&D can share the same space as another creature, and they can fit through small openings. Bat swarms can be summoned in D&D with Conjure Animals or Conjure Fey spells, and they appear in Curse of Strahd and the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. These fearsome ants live in tropical environments and do extra damage to helpless targets. They can cling on to foes, doing damage over time until removed. They have a challenge rating of 5. There isn't an entry for ants in D&D, but this mini can be used as a swarm of insects or as a swarm of rot grubs, both of which have a challenge rating of 1/2. A Dweomercat is a magical fey creature from the First World who craves and consumes magic. When targeted by a spell, it can either teleport directly to the caster and attack, or it can gain an effect based on the school of magic that was used to attack it. It also has strong magical resistances. Note that its name is actually misspelled on the base, with the E and the O reversed. Also, the coloring of the mini looks quite different from the concept art. It looks like the white areas were meant to have a shimmering effect. For a D&D game, this mini could be used as a displacer beast, a crag cat, or other similarly sized animal. The Stolen Lands is an uninhabited wilderness in the northeast section of the River Kingdoms that has thwarted many settlement attempts. It is extremely wet and dotted with ruins and abandoned mines. Bandit is a playable archetype or background in Pathfinder, while NPC bandits generally have the stats of warriors. This mini is based on the Stag Lord Lieutenant Kressel from Kingmaker. For D&D, this mini can also be used as a thug, bandit, ranger, or any number of different NPCs or player characters. In Pathfinder, giant frogs have sharp teeth and a tongue attack that can grapple from 15 feet away. They can also be used as player companions, and at higher levels can swallow creatures whole. They have a challenge rating of 1. In D&D, a giant frog can also swallow people whole, but its tongue is not quite as long. It needs to be within 5 feet to grapple. It has a challenge rating of 1/4. It can be summoned with Conjure Animals or Conjure Fey spells. Ruffians are typically strong commoners who fight with daggers. If they're not part of a gang, they engage in petty theft and robbery. Sometimes they'll be employed as mercenaries or laborers. The River Kingdoms are a collection of warring city-states which only work together when fighting off a mutual outside threat. This mini is based on the Stag Lord Lieutenant Ox, who is described as the slowest-witted of the bandits. They have a challenge rating of 5. Slightly tougher and probably more sticky than a regular skeleton, bloody skeletons come back to life after 1 hour when reduced to 0 hit points, unless destroyed by positive energy, some type of sacred spell, or sprinkled with holy water. This sculpt is based on the Bloody Skeletal Champion, which has a challenge rating of 5. A regular bloody skeleton has a challenge rating of 1/2. There is no bloody skeleton in D&D, but a regular skeleton has a challenge rating of 1/4. This mini could be used as a skeleton that rises from the casting of an animate dead spell on a relatively fresher corpse. As far as I can tell, there is no creature or stat block for a shadow rogue in Pathfinder. It appears to be a generic term for a stealth-oriented rogue. This mini is based on the Stag Lord Lieutenant Dovan from Nizrak. This figure could easily be used as a standard rogue, spy, assassin, or House Demir agent from Ravnica. The Pitax Warden is a high-level guard and soldier in Pitax, one of the older river kingdoms. They are human fighters who serve a greedy and corrupt ruler in the Kingmaker adventure. This ruler, King Irvedi, has a mini in the Rusty Dragon Inn set. The Pitax Warden has a challenge rating of 5. This unique mini could be used in D&D as an Iron Golem or as a heavily armored player character. I would love to be a part of a game jam in which GMs had to write an adventure in a weekend around a certain miniature. In this set, I would like to see what sort of ideas people could develop around the Pitax Warden figure. There does not appear to be a web lurker in Pathfinder, at least as far as I could find. This seems to be an Ettercap, which is a humanoid spider shared between Pathfinder and D&D. Ettercaps claim an area, usually in a temperate forest, and attract a large number of spiders and giant spiders to build web traps and defend the area. In Pathfinder, they have a challenge rating of 3, and in D&D, they have a challenge rating of 2. These are overly large lizards that can grow more than 10 feet in length, and so are sometimes mistaken for dragons. Their bite is poisonous, and they can be found in warm forests or plains. They sometimes live in colonies of up to 8 monitor lizards. It can also serve as an animal companion, or as a lizard folk pet, in the Kingmaker adventure, in which case they are called Gnarlmarch Muggers. This figure is based on concept art for the Kingmaker computer game. They have a challenge rating of 2. There isn't a medium-sized lizard in D&D, but a giant lizard is a large creature with a challenge rating of 1/4. Several minis that are included in this set are from the Kingmaker computer game. While the characters generally only have a minor appearance in the tabletop adventure, if they appear at all, they can be added, expanded upon, or the minis used for player characters or other NPCs. Jubilost Narthrappel is a pompous, overbearing writer and explorer obsessed with creating and completing maps. Linzi, also from the computer role-playing game, is a headstrong bard who was kicked out of school in Pitax for making fun of its ruler. She set out to find the next great hero, vowing to chronicle their story and secure her legacy. Armed with a lute, a dagger by her side, and perhaps a bag of holding over her shoulder, Linzi can make a great Halfling bard player character mini. Jaethal, Elf Inquisitor, is the neutral evil, undead servant of Urgathoa, who is exiled from her homeland. This Elven Inquisitor mini could also be used for any scythe-wielding player character or NPC. Troll hounds generally wander the cold mountains in packs and are often the pets of trolls. They appear to be small trolls in canine form. Their saliva can inflict diseases that cause their victims to feel as if their blood is boiling. This mini could also be used as a warg or similar creature. Troll hounds have a challenge rating of 3. The Stag Lord is a sadistic bandit king and the first major antagonist that the player kingmakers face in the Stolen Lands. He is attempting to raise a bandit army, and it's up to the players to stop him so they're able to establish their own barony in the River Kingdoms. He has a challenge rating of 6. This mini could also be appropriate for a barbarian or Goliath player character. Werewolves are pretty similar between Pathfinder and D&D. They have 3 forms: a humanoid, a hybrid, seen here, and a wolf form. They spread their lycanthropy through their bite. You'll find a werewolf terrorizing a town in Kingmaker, and they appear extensively in Curse of Strahd for D&D. They have a challenge rating of 2 in Pathfinder, and 3 in D&D. Ghosts in Pathfinder can cause harm to the living just by touching them, inflicting horrible wounds and advanced age. The only way to permanently eliminate a ghost is by resolving whatever prevented it from moving on after death. This sculpt is based on the ghostly guards in the final Kingmaker module. They can use telekinesis to disarm opponents, but they use physical equipment, which makes them unable to fully take advantage of their incorporeal state. This mini can be used for a ghostly pirate elf or any other lingering spirit or apparition. Standard ghosts have a challenge rating of 7, and the ghostly guard has a challenge rating of 9. Tristian, the human cleric, is another party member from the CRPG. He serves the god Sarenrae, who believes that everyone can find redemption no matter what they've done. Tristian is compelled to aid those in need, but, unlike a certain Southern belle, shies away from proselytizing unless asked about his beliefs directly. He is an able spellcaster and healer. His storyline in the Kingmaker CRPG is said to be quite interesting. This mini could serve as a player character mini for a large number of classes, from cleric to sorcerer, wizard, warlock, or druid. Regular gargoyles appear to be stone and can hold still indefinitely, pretending to be statues, and can use stealth to pass player inspection until they are ready to reveal their real nature and attack. Gargoyles appear in the Gnome Heights random encounter table in the 3rd Kingmaker book. A gargoyle has a CR of 4 in Pathfinder and 2 in D&D. There is only one notable gargoyle in Kingmaker, though, named Godovius with a CR of 12, a serial killer who was caught and employed as a torturer by the ruler of Pitax. This mini is accompanied in the set with a more innocuous-looking version. The Pathfinder Battles mini-sets often come with set dressing pieces that you can use to liven up your battle maps. This gargoyle, in a more traditional architectural pose, is one of them. Regular, non-living gargoyles are found in many places around the city of Pitax in the 5th Kingmaker book, so feel free to roll these out to trigger some paranoia and anxiety in your players. Generally, Weretigers are egomaniacs who want to control people, becoming mercenaries and assassins only if they can't become a ruler. They are powerful and charismatic enough that many humans will accept their rule. However, they will turn on even their most loyal servants if they believe they are no longer of use. There is only one Weretiger in Kingmaker who shows up in the 5th book and has a CR of 13. Alassan is the leader of the Cat's Paw mercenaries, who are humans and not were-creatures. Weretigers in both Pathfinder and D&D have a CR of 4. One interesting thing, I believe that Weretigers in their hybrid form are considered large creatures, though Alassan in this adventure in her hybrid form is labeled as a medium, which is the size of this miniature. While it's a bit vague, it seems that Weretigers in their hybrid forms are large in D&D as well. This mini could also be used for a naked Rakshasa who has his backward hands corrected and who is just getting ready for his evening bubble bath. As in D&D, were-rats are pretty cowardly. Typically found in urban environments, they tend to band together in thieves' guilds, forming insular and secretive societies and escaping into the sewers with regular rats. There is only one were-rat in Kingmaker, a named villainous NPC named Gaetane with a CR of 12, who leads a band of soldiers serving the ruler of Pitax, trying to assassinate the players. He prefers to snipe at players from the rafters of a building. A regular were-rat has a CR of 4 in Pathfinder and 2 in D&D. Hargulka is the name of the troll leader in Kingmaker. He has a necklace that lets him cast Fireball. The trolls have a lair from which they attack local settlements, growing more aggressive until the players are forced to confront them. The troll leader has a CR of 8. This mini looks quite different from your standard lanky D&D troll, and may be better used as a lizardfolk champion if repurposing it. Naga have a serpentine body and a humanoid head. There is no specific swamp Naga, but most of the Naga in Kingmaker appear in the swampy region of the Stolen Lands known as the Slaw. Naga have many CRs, but most of the Naga in Kingmaker are Spirit Naga or Dark Naga, both with a CR of 9. This more closely resembles a Spirit Naga. Spirit Naga are outcasts from their race, who deal in dark arcane arts and revel in death and desolation. Dark Naga covet luxury goods and use their insidious lies and the threat of powerful poisons to manipulate lesser creatures into servitude. Naga are similar in D&D, and these minis can easily be used in either game. Oni Mages are evil spirits with many possible origins who are harmless until they take corporeal shape. Each is generally a shape changer with the ability to regenerate damage done to them. Oni can be associated with and take the form of almost any intelligent creature, from bugbears to hobgoblins, from trolls to cloud giants. They are narcissistic hedonists who wish to dominate others while enjoying all the material world has to offer. Each one is unique with a different CR. The one that shows up in Kingmaker is a CR 14, General Avinash Jurg, who uses Ogre Mage Bard stats, who serves the ruler of Pitax. Hill Giants are dumb, selfish, cowardly nomads. A few integrate into rural humanoid societies as laborers, but most survive by raiding. They value strength and size. There is a depressed, alcoholic hill giant in the second Kingmaker book named Munguk, though his art matches the hill giant chief mini from the Lost Coast set instead of this one. Hill giants appear in other parts of the adventure as well, such as patrolling Fort Drelov in Kingmaker 4, or raiding various kingdoms, and as random encounters in Kingmaker 5. Hill giants in Pathfinder have a CR of 7. They also appear in D&D, though they are considered huge rather than large creatures as depicted in Pathfinder. This mini could represent an adolescent hill giant, or perhaps an ogre or similar. Smilodons are essentially saber-toothed tigers and hail from the nearby realm of the Mammoth Lords. Black Smilodons with a CR of 9 are kept as pets by a troll in Kingmaker 6. They're also called Advanced Dire Tigers and are kept as gladiator pets by the ruler of Pitax. There's also an old legendary Smilodon named Speartooth with a CR of 11 in Kingmaker 4. Normal Smilodons are CR 5. In D&D, a saber-toothed tiger has a challenge rating of 2. Manticores are magical beasts of folklore with a vaguely human head, the body of a lion, the wings of a dragon, and a dangerous spiked tail. They can breed with a variety of other species to create even more horrifying monstrosities. They are carnivores who prefer the taste of human flesh and will pursue it whenever possible. They can whip their tail around to loose a volley of 4 spikes at a range of 180 feet. A Manticore appears as a wanted bounty in Kingmaker 3 and appears in random encounter tables as well. It has a CR of 5. Manticores are quite similar in D&D but have a challenge rating of 3. Zorek is a cleric of the god Gorum who blessed a powerful sword to allow the wielder to win any war. That sword is in the Tomb of Armagh, and Zorek is the divine guardian of the tomb, which is filled with traps to test the worthiness of any who seek to claim it. Zorek can raise those slain by the tomb as undead to strengthen the tomb's defenses. This figure can also be used for any number of player character classes, a ranger, druid, hunter, shaman, or shifter perhaps. The official Paizo blog recommends using this figure to represent members of Galarian's peoples, such as the Kaled, the Mwangi, and the Shoanti. The next few figures are potential party members in the Kingmaker video game, some of whom do not appear at all in the Kingmaker tabletop adventure module. Ekundayo is a Gurundi native of Absalom on a quest for revenge. He is a quiet, honorable archer whose past losses have driven him to the brink, and the player must help pull him back. He fights primarily at range and has a hound animal companion. He would make an excellent mini for a player character or a unique NPC. Ragongar is a chaotic evil mage who escaped a life of slavery in the Technic League of Numeria. He values strength and decisiveness. He won't befriend you, but he may be willing to work with you. Not your traditional spellcaster, he enjoys getting into melee range where he unleashes many of his electricity-based spells. A truly impressive mini, this half-orc spellcaster would make a very imposing figure on the battlefield. You could even use him to represent Critical Role's Ford should you be playing a campaign in the Wildmount setting. Octavia is a chaotic good, half-elf arcane trickster. She also fled slavery by the Technic League and is Ragongar's only true friend. Unlike Ragongar, she still prefers to see the good in the world and wants to help people and society, though she prefers to live in the moment. Her optimistic spirit and goodwill are not broken by years of servitude. In combat, she will avoid melee encounters, preferring to ambush whenever possible. A great figure for any elven or half-elven spellcaster. Valerie's family intended for her to become a paladin for Shaylin, goddess of beauty and love. Instead, like a good Gilmore girl, she blasphemed the goddess and fled high society. Being strong and dexterous, she picked up a sword and shield and became a mercenary. In the game, she can assist with both combat and diplomacy. On the table, the mini can be whatever heavily armored character you would like her to be. Without any specific insignias, she can be friend or foe, paladin or fighter, city guard or savior of the land. There aren't many dwarves who can claim to be absolute rubbish at crafting, but Harum has that dishonor. Ridiculed by his peers and believed cursed by the dwarven gods, Harum went into exile to find some other purpose in his life. Wise and just, and also rather eccentric and fatalistic, he found meaning as a worshipper and cleric for Grotus, an obscure god of the end times. When he's not being a loyal and useful companion, he's probably talking your ear off about the end being nigh. The figure has a holy symbol of his apocalyptic god on his flail, though it's subtle enough that this figure could represent any melee fighting class or NPC. Armag the Twiceborn is the big bad of Kingmaker 4, with a CR of 13, a barbarian child kidnapped by cultists who believed he was the reincarnated soul of the original Armag, a legendary barbarian warlord. The cult raised him to eventually take over the barbarian tribes and prepare them to invade and conquer Brevoy, the land which had exiled the cultists. Here, the so-called Tiger Lord wields the magic sword or Venerbane. This figure can also be used for any barbarian character. Nerissa is the nymph queen of the Stolen Lands. Little happens in her domain without her knowledge. Her machinations plague the players throughout the campaign, though her direct presence isn't made explicit until late in the game. Without giving away too many plot spoilers, she has a heavy hand in the adventure, and her motivations form a lot of the backbone of the plot. Her stat block appears in the 6th Kingmaker book, and she has a CR of 20. Her mini could also be used as a dryad in the Forgotten Realms or Ravnica setting, where she could be a member of the Selesnya Conclave. This pleasant fellow appears on the cover of the 3rd Kingmaker book, The Varnhold Vanishing. His name is Vortikai, and he is the major villain of that part of the adventure. The adventuring party find themselves in the rough-and-tumble settlement of Varnhold, which has apparently experienced its own Roanoke-style disappearing act, as all of the town's inhabitants are suddenly gone. I'll leave it to you and your party to discover what Vortikai has to do with the disappearance of Varnhold. Vortikai has a CR of 12. There isn't a stat block for a Cyclops Lich in D&D, though you could take some of the physicality of a Cyclops and apply it to a Lich stat block by upping its strength, dexterity, and constitution. But don't forget to give it disadvantage on ranged attacks over 30 feet due to its understandable trouble with depth perception. The Soul Gorger, more commonly known as a Devourer, is a withered corpse that stands about 10 feet tall, but which weighs only about 200 pounds. They are the undead remains of evil spellcasters who became lost in the multiverse and who return with a hunger for living souls. They are one of the most powerful minions that a strong necromancer can call into being. Along with their lesser spellcasting abilities, the Devourer can indeed gorge on the souls of their victims, trapping the souls within its chest. As the Soul Gorger consumes the soul to gain more power, the soul becomes more and more damaged, losing levels, until the Soul Gorger is slain or the soul is completely consumed. This nasty threat earns the Soul Gorger a CR of 11. They also appear in D&D with a CR of 13. Another mini of a Devourer appears in the Waterdeep Dragon Heist set of Icons of the Realms. Frost Giants make their appearance in the final Kingmaker book as invaders sent by Nerissa. They are led by Kargstad, but this mini is clearly not him, as he has 4 arms. Frost Giant Jarls have a CR of 18 and are considered 9th level barbarians. This compares to regular Frost Giants, who have a challenge rating of 9. In D&D, as in Pathfinder, Frost Giants value prowess in battle and prove their worth on the battlefield. Jarls are the leader of the Frost Giant clans. They are generally strong leaders, but can be challenged at any time with a battle to the death. Again, annoyingly, giants in Pathfinder are considered large creatures, and in D&D they are considered huge, limiting your ability to use this mini in a D&D campaign accurately. Based on Aztec mythology, an Ahuizotl is an aquatic swamp dweller that resembles a giant otter, but with a dog's head, wolf's teeth, and a tail that ends in a clawed hand with which it likes to grapple people. Its fur clumps into spikes, and its name literally translates to spiny aquatic thing. It has a fondness for attacking eyes, and is also able to mimic voices and the sound of sobbing to lure people. Relatively intelligent creatures, they are able to speak common, and canny adventurers may be able to barter for their lives. But the Ahuizotl will likely only see another life as a worthy trade. They have a challenge rating of 6. Again, most of the modern Pathfinder sets include several pieces of set dressing to flesh out your battle maps. We already showed you the Gargoyle. Most of these pieces can be used in a variety of different adventures and settings. Here we have the Barbarian Throne. This throne could belong to a Miri, Vorticai, or any barbarian ruler that the players may encounter. Or, perhaps one of your player characters commissions or builds a suitable seat for themselves back at the guild hall. But you wouldn't place such a luxurious seat on the same level with all the other, less exalted chairs. Hence we have our next piece, the raised dais. Of course, many other items may require a place of prominence in any particular room. Perhaps this is the lofty pedestal for an altar, a sacred relic, or other important quest item. Note that should you wish to be creative with your set pieces, the dais has a finished cobblestone bottom, so you could flip it over to make it into a low table, trap, or ritual circle. You are only limited by your imagination. Next we have a brambly bush, which can offer the player characters, or enemies, a place to seek cover or plan an ambush. The top is relatively flat, so you can place a mini atop the bush to represent him or her leaping out of the foliage to spring an assault. You can also use this to represent the result of any number of plant summoning spells in Pathfinder or Dungeons & Dragons. Finally, we have the always harmless and never terror-inducing Scarecrow. Feel free to plop this down on any outdoor battle map or along the path of a hedge maze to provide color and ambiance to your encounter, and just maybe engender a bit of paranoia in your players. There is one Scarecrow in the Kingmaker adventure in the 4th book belonging to a swamp hag named Old Beldame. If you play The Rise of the Rune Lords, you'll likely make good use of this sculpt as well. Just for your information, an animated Scarecrow has a challenge rating of 4 in Pathfinder and 1 in D&D. Kingmaker uses many standard creatures and monsters which are not in this set, probably because many were included in previous sets. You may want to pick up some of these if you're running this adventure. Some examples include Lizard Folk, which you can find in Maze of Death, Heroes and Monsters, and maybe Zolgath in Shattered Star, Mites in Shattered Star, Owlbears in the Rusty Dragon Inn set, Kobolds in Legends of Golarion, Bogarts in Lost Coast and Shattered Star, Trolls in Heroes and Monsters, Shattered Star, and Lost Coast, and various town NPCs and animals like horses, which you can find in Rusty Dragon Inn. The giant moray eel in Kingmaker 3 has a mini in the Maze of Death set. Other eels show up in Kingmaker 3, but are regular-sized silver eels and not giant moray eels. The set pieces are a nice addition, and they should all prove useful as you design your battle maps. They fit well inside a dwarven board setup, and look just fine when incorporated with other setting pieces like you might find in Terrain Crate or other official D&D and Pathfinder sets. The Kingmaker adventure path is often regarded as the gold standard in sandbox-style RPG adventuring. If you have players who would enjoy establishing a stronghold of their own and exploring with more freedom than your typical adventure allows, you should consider introducing them to Kingmaker. However, this is a pretty great set even if you aren't running the Pathfinder Kingmaker adventure itself. The player character minis are well sculpted, nicely painted, and are worthy of representing your hero on the battlefield. Again, one of the ways I help my new players create their first character is by placing all my potential player character minis on the table and see which one they're drawn to. We then create their character around that mini. The ones in this set offer a nice variety and should inspire many interesting backstories and personalities. Most of the monsters in this set are universal, or easy enough to adapt to either Pathfinder or Dungeons & Dragons. There is a lot of story potential in creatures like the Cyclops Lich, the Fey Dragon, the Oni Mage, the Nymph Leader, and the Manticore. The Kingmaker adventure provides sheets for 4 pre-generated characters that you can use in the campaign to get off to a quick start. All 4 have unpainted versions in the Pathfinder Bones set. For pre-painted minis, we have the following options. Sagen is an iconic human monk and has minis in Legend of Galarian and Iconic Heroes Set 1. Harsk is an iconic dwarf ranger and has minis in the Rise of the Rune Lords and the upcoming Iconic Heroes Evolved set. Lenny is an iconic gnome druid and has minis in Legends of Galarian and Iconic Heroes Set 1. Amiri is an iconic human barbarian and is also a chaotic neutral party member in the Kingmaker video game, if you want to find a way to insert her into the adventure as an NPC. She has minis in the Shattered Star set and the Iconic Heroes Set 2.
And that's the Pathfinder Battles Kingmaker set. Let us know in the comments below whether you're a Pathfinder player or a D&D player. And if you are a D&D player, I'm curious to hear what you think of these Pathfinder mini sets. Are they useful to you, or are they things you'd like to see us do more of in the future? Otherwise, we're filming this a little bit after we did our introductions, so I look a little different. But that is this review. Please like the video and subscribe to our channel. It does help us, and it'll help us reach more viewers and continue to grow the channel. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time on The Gallant Goblin.